Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Esoteric Ramblings. I'm Jesse Arnold, and today I'm giving you my review of Episode 2 of The Bad Batch. Everybody, welcome back to Esoteric Ramblings. It's time to do a review of Bad Batch Episode 2, Cut and Run. This episode, I'm probably just going to do... I don't know how to say this. These episodes are now going to be short. They're 30 minutes. They're probably going to be between 20 to 30 minutes long each episode here on out. There's not a lot I can say about these that won't be spoilers for the episodes themselves. Other than the usual, I like it. It's great. I think the animation's good and all those sorts of things. So, I'm just going to say this up front. There will be spoilers in this episode. Probably just throughout. So if you have not watched the episode yet, don't watch this video until afterwards, unless you want to know what happens. So episode 2 of The Bad Batch is titled Cut and Run, and we saw the heroes fleeing Camino at the end of last episode, and with Omega, the new female clone, along with them, and Crosshair had sided with the Empire and the programming. He's the only one of the Bad Batch that seems to have gone along with the Execute Order 66 directive and all that went with it. He does not seem to be as abnormal or defective as the rest of the crew as far as their logic and following orders rules go. So they're on the run, and at the end of the episode last week, I think it was, I don't remember who it was, Hunter might have said, or on Tuesday, Hunter said that he had an old contact that they were going to reconnect with to lay low for a while. And my initial thoughts were that it was going to be Hondo, that they might have somehow come across Hondo during the conflict, and being that he's such a scoundrel himself, he might have liked the idea of these... the Bad Batch clones, being more individual and less just following orders than the rest of the ones he'd encountered. So, but I was wrong. We very quickly learned they're going to Seleucumai, and as soon as they landed, I was like, oh, right. I couldn't remember the character's name. I was like, they're going back to the clone farmer that had deserted early in the show, in the Clone Wars show. And it's right there in the title of the episode, Cut. It's Clone Trooper Cut, who has started a family with the Twilight Sioux and their two little kids. Just a family farming, and our Bad Batch characters go to hide out there. And one of the coolest things about this episode, I think, or most interesting Star Wars lore building wise, is this is where they introduced the idea of the chain code, which... we haven't really dealt much with throughout all of Star Wars until the Mandalorian show. They use the chain code is basically, for lack of a better word, it's Star Wars' social security number. So they're now implementing this to all citizens of the Empire. If you want to travel, if you want to do anything within the Empire, you need to have a chain code. So you have to submit for all of this, and of course the clones don't have their own chain code, or if they do and they're not where they're supposed to be, they'll get in trouble. So of course all of our characters are clones, including Cut, and so the episode is all around them trying to get chain codes for Cut and his family so they can get off-world, and Hunter struggles with sending Omega off with them since there's kids there, and it'd be a place that he feels is safer, more appropriate for her to be. It could have very easily been, like, it does have some of that, the adult wanting to push the kid off onto someone else tropes in it, but it didn't get as melodramatic and cheesy as that could have been. They handled it really well, because Omega does a thing where she goes out past the fence of the farm, because she doesn't understand danger. She doesn't understand the concept of wildlife. Because at the beginning of the episode, they land on the planet and she experiences dirt for the first time. Because she's never left Camino before. And it's just really cool to see her experiencing these things and the bond is starting to grow between her, specifically Hunter and Wrecker. Um, and it's fun to see that character growing. I believe I said in the last episode I think she might be Force sensitive. I don't know if she'll be like full Jedi Sith level abilities, but I think she's got some sort of instincts and traits there, Force wise. Cut has a conversation with Hunter about her, and he's like, "Well, what's her ability? What's her purpose?" And Hunter's like, "Nah, she's just a kid." And he's like, "Kaminoans or the Kaminoans don't make anything just because. There's always a reason. There's always a purpose. So what's hers?" So I feel like that might be a part of the show, is figuring out what her purpose and goal is, or abilities. Because as each of the Bad Batch have their specific traits, they're more prone to than, say, regular clones. So yeah, and it's sad watching the clone troopers, the regular clone troopers, transition. And it makes sense. It makes sense. Just following orders as they transition to basically the early days of the stormtroopers. So no longer is it exciting to see the white armor troopers on screen. They're now the bad guys, and it's only been a day or two since the shift. Yeah, we do get a fun reference. Cut and Sue do mention that Rex had passed through just the day before. So Rex has come through here. They don't mention Ahsoka, so I don't know if Ahsoka and Rex have already parted ways, or if they were traveling together, or if she was staying out of sight and he was the only one seen. But I do know from the trailer we will see Rex in some form in this show. So it was kind of cool to see that he's real close to where they are, because this is the first thing we've seen with Rex, or at least heard about him immediately post Order 66 and the end of the actual Clone Wars series, where he and Ahsoka bury the remains of the troopers that went down on the ship. So yeah, so it's really cool. I'm really liking this show. Again, the animation is great and fantastic, and I love it. I do like that they just have D. Bradley Baker as starring D. Bradley Baker as the Bad Batch, because he's all of the clones except for Omega. So it's fun watching one guy carry the whole show. He's all the main cast, a lot of the side cast. Not everybody, but he's so talented. I think that with just a little bit of change in his delivery, his tone, his speed, it all sounds like the same voice, but it does sound like different characters. Obviously, Wrecker is a little more grandiose and bombastic, but it's just really impressive to see someone or hear someone's talent range that much through all these different characters. So with that said, I don't have a lot much else to say about this episode. It's a lot of fun. I hope if you're watching it, you're enjoying it. I'll be excited to see what other things we can learn about the early days of the Empire through this show, where it's all going to go. Are we going to find out, is this going to be a multi-season show? Is it one season? Where do the Bad Batch characters end up? Did they ever get Crosshair back into the fold? Does he stay an enemy throughout the show? We'll see. And it looks like we might have gotten our first shot of this Vice Admiral Rampart. I believe he's a hologram explaining the whole concept of the chain code in the town on Seleucamai, when they try to get the Cut and his family to the spaceport. So we'll see. More to learn. I'll be back with next week's episode 3 for the Bad Batch next Friday. In the meantime, I'll have, of course, my Comic Hall rundown next week. And let's see, my friends over at Legends of Grayskull podcast, they should be posting the Justice League, Zack Snyder's Justice League podcast that I joined in on. So stay tuned for that. Yeah, we'll see. I might try to get some other show or review or something else up over the weekend. But for now, that's it. Thanks for watching. Hope you're enjoying the Bad Batch. It's been a good Star Wars week, if you will. And got to represent with the Rebel scum. And yeah, all right. That's it. end the video, ramble over. Catch you next time. Ramble on.